Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we are going to discuss an important thing, that is factors that determine limiting frictional force. Okay, so limiting frictional force is one of the key factor of friction. Unlike statico-dynamic, we always look for the limiting frictional force. Okay, if the limiting frictional force is greater, then the difficulty of moving is also will be greater, because you have to apply force more than the limiting frictional force to move an object, otherwise it will not move. So if you see you can't move by applying a force, you have to apply more force, more force, then only it is moving. Mean you can decide, okay, this one has a higher limiting frictional force. So limiting frictional force is the most important type of frictional force, okay, that should be considered if you have a plan to move an object. Understood? So there are two factors that determine the limiting frictional force. One factor is the nature of the surface. Nature of the surface. In the nature of the surface, there are two natures there. One, it is rough nature, other one, it is smooth nature. Two natures there. One, it is rough nature, other one is smooth nature. In the case, rough surface gives high limiting frictional force. Smooth surface has a low limiting frictional force. So if you want to have a, now say you want to have a high limiting frictional force, there are instances we are looking for high limiting frictional force. In places where you feel that you don't want to slip, you will demand a high limiting frictional force. In places where you want to slip, you will demand a low limiting frictional force. Understood? In places where you want to, now for a simple example, at homes, we are fixing tiles to the floor. If you take these tiles, the tiles in the visiting room, the tiles in the bedroom are not the same tiles present in the washing room. The washing room has a type of tile that is bit rougher than the tiles in the visiting room. Why? Washing room is a place where it is mostly moist. So such a moist environment, okay, has a, because of this moistness, it gives a smoothness to the surface. If your tile is also smooth, now finally what happens? You will easily slip. Okay, rough surfaces are more recommended to be the tiles in the washing room. But in other places where the water content is not very frequently available, you can go for no problem smooth surfaces. Okay, they have low friction. Low friction means low limiting frictional force. That is one factor that decides the limiting frictional force, the nature of the surface. The second factor is the weight of the object, or you can say, really your book uses the word a normal reaction. Okay, normal reaction, वो So in brackets we can say it is referring to the weight of the object. Okay, really referring to the weight of the object, but your book doesn't use the word weight of the object, instead it is using the word normal reaction. So my children, the point it is, if the weight is greater, higher weight, higher weight means higher normal reaction. Higher weight means higher normal reaction. Wait, I'll explain you what is this normal reaction is, but just keep this idea. Higher weight means higher normal reaction. Higher normal reaction means higher limiting frictional force. So higher weight means higher limiting frictional force. Okay, so this is the note for you. At the same time, I am going to give you two diagrammatic ideas under every point. Now for example, when you speak about nature of the surface, under the nature of the surface you draw that diagram. When I explain you about the nature of the surface, under the normal reaction you draw another diagram there. Okay, so the first diagram, it is, I am taking and two surfaces there. This is a surface. Okay, this is a surface. Here it is another surface. Okay, I am going to make this surface as a rough surface. To make it a rough surface, I am going to make this surface rough enough. So this is going to be a rough surface. Two types of surfaces there. One, it is a smooth surface, one it is a rough surface. On each I am going to place an object. Same object. I am not going to change the object. I am going to place the same object each of the surface. Okay, here both of them are there. Right. So what's happening? The left side picture. The left side picture. Okay.